Arved Fuchs unternimmt seit Jahrzehnten Expeditionen in die sensiblen Gebiete unserer Erde. Zum 10. Dia-Festival 2008 in Saalfeld berichtete er von der Hundeschlitten-Expedition in die Arktis Kanadas. Ich wollte von ihm wissen, welche Veränderungen er im Laufe der Jahre beobachtet hat.
Mit steigendem Tempo verändert sich die Landschaft dort oben derart rasant, dass einem wirklich die Haare zu Berge stehen. Das ist jetzt nicht irgendwie übertrieben gesagt, sondern man sieht in Alaska, dass der Permafrostboden auftaut, dass ganze Häuser abrutschen, dass das Meer nicht mehr zufriert oder über einen kürzeren Raum zufriert, dass man Eisbären sieht, die völlig mager sind, die kaum genügend Nahrung noch finden. Und so könnte man da wirklich endlos weiter erzählen. Das ist etwas, was mich sehr betroffen macht, weil mir ist diese Landschaft einfach wichtig. Und vor allen Dingen weiß man auch, dass dieser Klimawandel ja dort oben nicht Stopp macht, sondern er wird mit einiger Verzögerung den ganzen Globus erreichen. Und was mich dann immer sehr betroffen macht, ist dann oftmals so ein bisschen in der Diskussion, dass man sagt, naja, so schlimm wird es schon nicht sein. Ich glaube, es wird viel schlimmer, als man glaubt.
These pictures shot earlier this month by the British Antarctic Survey show the actual breakup. A huge hunk of ice 25 miles long by a mile and a half wide, splitting off the Antarctic coast.
We know it's a sign that the area is getting warmer and that the ice is going to retreat back permanently, or at least for the long time future.
It's all happening in the Western Hemisphere, in a part of Antarctica known as the Wilkins-Eis shelf, that's warming at the rate of almost 1 degree Fahrenheit each decade.
We should learn lessons from what's going on down in the Antarctic today for what may happen in the rest of the world tomorrow.
Satellite photos show the whole shelf, about the size of Connecticut, hanging by a narrow thread of ice less than 4 miles wide. The shelf could be gone in a few years. Scientists are astounded at the size of the breakup, plus the fact that it's happening much sooner than they had anticipated. They say that eventually collapses like this will raise ocean levels around the planet, that there may not be much we can do to stop it.
The problem is that the acceleration in terms of sea level rise is something that's not easy to turn around, even if we do manage to solve this problem by reducing greenhouse gases.
Last year, reporter Mark Austin from our British partner Independent Television News was 100 miles north of the shelf when he observed this.
You can see some of these icebergs are melting. You can feel, there we are, there we are, that gives you an idea of what it's like.
Now these new pictures serve as an ominous preview of things to come as the world keeps getting warmer. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Environmentalists are warning of the possibility of irreversible changes to sea levels as new satellite images show alarming evidence of the ice caps melting. The pictures show a chunk 4 times the size of Paris breaking off from Antarctica. It belongs to the Wilkins-Eis shelf, a broad sheet of permanent floating ice located on the southwest Antarctic peninsula, some 1,600 kilometers from South America. Rajendra Pachauri is head of the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
We have, in our synthesis report of the IPCC, clearly mentioned the possibility of irreversible and abrupt changes, which could be essentially a collapse of some of these large bodies of ice that would result in several meters of increase in sea level. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's a possibility that we have to be aware of.
Experts believe warm air and exposure to ocean waves are triggering the breakup. With the summer melting season coming to an end, the collapse is expected to cease, but scientists will be watching to see if it continues to fall apart next year.
A huge ice shelf in Antarctica is hanging on by a thread. The ice shelf has been disintegrating quickly. At least one scientist says it could be gone within weeks. What happens next could tell the world a lot about climate change and the future of rising sea levels. KTVU Health and Science editor John Fowler here now with more. John?
Climate experts told me today it's no surprise that the ice is breaking up, but the speed of the breakup may signal trouble. A huge chunk of ice is breaking off the Wilkins-Eis shelf in the Antarctic. These walls tower 100 feet above the sea. This floating ice shelf is 3 times the size of the Bay Area, holding back Antarctic land-based ice like buttresses.
And as those are removed, it's much easier for the continental ice to basically slide out into the oceans where it can raise sea level. We may see more rapid failure of the large continental ice sheets than we had expected.
Carnegie Institution Director Chris Field says we should know in a few weeks if the entire ice shelf will fail this year. It is the biggest of 6 Antarctic ice shelves to fail in 30 years, and climate scientists agree this is yet another confirming signal of global warming that they say, if we're lucky, will cause a 2-foot rise in sea level this century.
But if we're unlucky and we start losing massive chunks of Greenland, as is already beginning, or chunks of West Antarctica, we could raise sea level 10 to 20 feet.
Stanford climatologist Stephen Schneider says any big sea level rise could be catastrophic for us here in the Bay Area as well as around the world. But there's growing optimism among scientists that we can do something to stop it.
The only way to stop it is not to keep using the atmosphere as a free sewer to dump our tailpipe and smokestack wastes, and that, of course, has political opposition.
We can take appropriate action, we can take it in a decisive way, and we can take it now.
Both Field and Schneider told me all 3 leading presidential candidates this year have global climate policies that may, for the first time in 7 years, put the United States in the lead, both in policy and in technology, to face what some say is the greatest challenge to civilization in thousands of years. Reporting live, Health and Science Editor John Fowler, KTVU, Channel 2 News.